Your rabbit ate your laces? That's not something you hear every day.
Okay. Hello, Dan.
Hello.
Hello,
Hi.
Luke. Hello, Josh. First things first, where does The Beauty and the Beast rank among your favorite Disneys?
Oh, it's right up there. I mean, it's a story that I've loved since I was a kid. It's a book that I've loved since I was a kid, and I've enjoyed reading to my children. The original animated film is very popular in our house, and yeah, it's right up there.
Right at the top, yeah. And I don't think that's because we're in it. I just think
I
it's
do.
more so because we're in it, but I think it was always one of my favorites.
I think there's a reason that it was the first, and up until very recently, only animated movie to ever be nominated for Best Picture. It is a perfect film. I mean, it really is. It's got everything, and I didn't realize how perfect it was until I revisited it recently with my daughters. Seeing them respond to it reminded me of the first time that I saw it. It really checks off every box, right? You're mesmerized. You're totally enthralled by the music, right? You're taken to this incredible world that is both in a historical context but also full of magic. And you've got these incredible characters that are so iconic. And I think it's one of the great love stories of all time. And all of those things make it so uniquely distinct. And that was the challenge, but ultimately I think the reward of adapting it 25 years later and giving it this live action take.
Belle, you must leave here. This castle is alive.
Who's there?
Do you wish to take your father's place?
Come into the light.
So if I say Beauty and the Beast, which song comes to your mind first?
Oh, Tale as Old as Time, I guess, is, you know, well, I think it's called Beauty and the Beast, but yeah, it's one of the most unbelievably catchy songs I've ever heard. It's been going around my head for at least 2 years solidly since we've made this film.
Beauty and the Beast.
Oh, mine is Be Our Guest.
Yeah.
Mine
Really?
is Be Our Guest, yeah.
Always Beauty and the Beast.
Mine is Be Our Guest because
As old as time.
you really do that. Love. Did you ever audition for Belle or the Beast?
Oh,
I went in just after Emma Thompson for
Mrs. Potts? How did it go?
I didn't play it.
oh, too bad.
Sorry.
This is a shame.
Hey, you're still here.
I know.
You're still here. I went in for Belle. And then
obviously.
they sent me out of the door before I could do my monologue.
Out.
Yeah.
No.
Out damn spot.
It's tricky because everybody already knows the story, so how a live action can reinvent the story?
Well, I mean, the obvious one is that we're human beings and not cartoon characters, you know. So you're bringing a three-dimensional performance to the film, and then also, as loyal as we are to the story, there are some almost image for image moments in the film, which I think is brilliant for the fans. You know, a recreation of real life from an animation. That's the main difference. I'd say the rest is the imagination of a very clever director, allowing actors like Josh and myself to bring and layer a character that possibly didn't have as much depth as they do now. They're being
Real.
now they're real. You know, it's there's a lot to bring to a character when you bring it to life in human form.
I do think that Bill Condon's vision for this movie is what really made it, I think, acceptable for all of us to go on this ride. And when you see the film, I think it is. I really do. And this isn't just lip service. I think it's one of the most beautiful films I've ever seen on screen. It's visually masterful what he's done. And I think, you know, in the vein of Cinderella, in the vein of Jungle Book, Maleficent, he's really taken that baton and run with it, and I think exceeded everybody's expectations for what a live-action version of this world will look like.
There's a classic love story at its heart, as well as the silliness and the dancing and the singing. You know, there's a range of things going on in this story, and I think that's what I really like about it, and that's what I like about fairy tales, really. It's sort of how you tell them. There's many different ways of seeing into them. There's many different ways of telling them, and it sort of depends what you want them to say. You know, and that's why we go and reinterpret them for every generation. Really, it's like this is a great story. It says so many things. What can it say to this generation?
About the singing, is this the new exercise for you?
Certainly on a big screen, definitely. I've always enjoyed singing. I haven't really been called on to do it professionally much, maybe for good reasons. I've really enjoyed, you know, I've always enjoyed voice work and doing accents and different sort of voices, and so this felt like an extension of that, really, learning, you know, how to speak like the Beast and find the sort of voice for him, but then how to sing like the Beast as well.
We already know that you sing really well, Josh,
thank you.
but you were quite the revelation, Luke. I mean, what's your musical background?
Well, that's the sort of response I want. What a lot of people don't know is that I spent 9 years on stage in musicals. That was what I first did. I come from musicals, just like Josh. We both come from the stage, and we don't come from the stage.
I was born on the
born on the stage.
I was born on
during a performance of Annie.
Yes, my mom was playing Mrs. Hannigan and Luke gave birth, and it kind of ruined the entire show. Luke is a revelation. I didn't know he was a musical. I think he's been playing a long con game for years for this moment. But what was so exciting about doing this with Luke was that rehearsal process and defining the sound and the feel of this song, of Gaston, was one of the great privileges of my career, because it married sort of all of these things that I love, you know, in terms of stage and screen, and it adapted that process. And it was so fun discovering.
And we could both of us bring a theatricality to the characters we were playing, and that was the fun of both our roles, was that we were able to push it almost many times to a very theatrical performance, which you don't often get the opportunity to do on screen.
It's
You know,
serious.
it has, you know, it's real, it's in the present, and Bill allowed us. He said, "You can go there."
He encouraged it.
You can do it, you know, and it worked. It totally worked.
And you were great in the movie.
Thank you.
No one's slick as Gaston, no one's quick as Gaston, no one's next as incredibly thick as Gaston. There's no man in town half as manly.
Perfect, a pure paragon.
You can ask any Tom, Dick, or Stanley, and they'll tell you whose team they prefer to be on.
What attracted you to this project? Because it's a huge, you know, a way to be a part of this Disney legacy.
It's literally a huge weight. I mean, I was wearing this very big, heavy muscle suit on stilts. It's such a mind-blowing idea. You know, this idea didn't really exist when we were kids, that you could step into and live out these you know, incredibly gorgeously animated fairy tales. The technology just wasn't there to quite sort of do this. You know, it's an idea from our childhood. Like, wouldn't that be amazing? That never existed, that has existed, you know, as an adult, and it's amazing to kind of revisit your childhood in that way.
So you wore a suit, or
I did. I had a sort of muscle suit, so that the depth of the Beast's
the
shape,
fur.
you know, so if Belle was interacting with the Beast, you know, the size was there, because otherwise she'd be putting her hand sort of through something, and that was covered in grey lycra, and then I was on 10-inch stilts, moving around on this thing.
When I read that you asked to be killed off Downton Abbey, I was so sad. And then I see your work now, and it's really exciting for you. So do you have any regrets?
Well, now that you say that, no. The last few years have been about exploring a range of things, and, you know, really pushing myself in lots of different directions, and hopefully surprising myself and maybe surprising you. I don't know.
Oh, definitely.
I hope so.
I mean, with Legend, it's amazing.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.